how do you convey that faith in just like being in the right room and not necessarily having a plan, but just being like, I know this is where I'm supposed to be, to people who are maybe a little bit more small-minded thinking,
Mhm.
where they're like, I need to know every detail until I get to this result.
Yeah. I mean, the biggest way I would think about this is people are going to think you are crazy for living the way that you want to live. And that might be they're going to think you're crazy for training like a maniac. That might be they're going to think you're crazy for eating the way that you want to eat, for not partying, for working like a dog on things that you really care about. Normal people are going to think you are crazy for doing those things. Most people will allow that to continue to exist in their world. They'll allow those people that are telling them they're crazy to continue to just putter around and be there. My goal was to get rid of that. And I was perfectly happy if that meant being alone for a period of time, in order to eventually find the people that loved the crazy side of me, to get around people that see that craziness in you. And that's actually what they love about you, because they are crazy in their own ways.
Right.
So like when I see you guys and you're pursuing this like weird vision, objectively, like a weird vision around different things that's very different from how normal people would want to live or pursue things, I think that's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Like I see that and I'm like, wow, that's great. These guys didn't care that it was different, that they were pursuing things a different way. They stepped off the corporate track. They weren't doing the safe thing. Like I can now see that I can be that person that like supports the crazy people that are out there doing those weird things. But you guys can attest to this. Like when you live life a different way that isn't normal, people literally think you're crazy. And that's your family, that's your old friends, that's literally anyone that's around you. And you need to find the people that love that crazy side.
Yeah. There's something powerful in that, where it's like the real you is kind of the weird you. And that's, I think most people will find that alignment for business and life when they start to embrace the weirdness in themselves. Are just like, hey, let me just double down on this random Reddit obsession that I have, or something that makes you unique and different. Like that's where your alpha is in life.
Yeah. And I spent most of my life terribly afraid of that weirdness in myself. And I masked it with a whole lot of bullshit that wasn't true to who I am as a person. I mean, I think back to high school and being deeply insecure about who I was, whether founded or unfounded, I was, and masking that insecurity with like bravado and lies and being a bully, being a jock, and like putting on this whole persona, because that's what I thought would like cover up the fact that I was actually just like a chubby, insecure 16-year-old kid, whatever age that was. And that didn't go away for many years for me because I hadn't found my identity. Like at the end of the day, we all think we're looking to make money or to achieve wealth or to achieve fame or success. But the reality is what we're looking to achieve is identity. We want to find who we are and find where we fit in the world. And until you find that, and until you're comfortable with your true identity, you're just living someone else's life. Like you're just on a quest. You're just masking things. You're just not living to your true self. And a big part of that is because you're surrounded by people who don't embrace you for who you truly are. And for that weirdness, for loving that Reddit thread, for, you know, being willing to go head down on like an organ meat company, whatever the thing is, they tell you that doesn't make sense, or they tell you to be realistic, or they tell you to keep your corporate job, or whatever that is. And so my whole perspective that has shifted over the last few years is like, find the places where those crazy people are and where you can have a community of other crazy people like that. I mean, Austin, Texas, by the way, is like one of those places where there's just a bunch of crazy, weird people doing weird things that are so freaking kind and positive to one another. And I like, that is why I seek out communities like HPLT, like Brian's thing, like the running community, is because I just find that there is like a big embrace of weirdness there.
Yeah. The embrace of weirdness makes you feel normal.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It reminds me a lot of, I remember when I was first, when I was in consulting, we had just started Mafia. We were writing threads, seeing success, thinking about Noble. I remember just being almost afraid to tell people that I worked with or my friends from back home that were in corporate jobs what I was doing, just because of the reaction that they would get. And then I basically put my head down for 2 years. And then I saw a lot of those same people after that 2-year span. It's pretty recent. And I just felt so comfortable with the direction that I was at, whether it was the skill set that I developed, living fully in line with our mission, the skill set, everything. I was so confident in that decision. And I'm curious for you, what was the reaction like with your boss or the office when you told them you were resigning from this ridiculous private equity job to go chase something obscure on Twitter? And have you gone back and seen any of those people that maybe reaffirm the decision that you made too?
Yeah. So, I mean, it was crazy, right? Like, I was very much like on the track. That's not to say I was going to be the most successful private equity person of all time. I probably wouldn't have been because I just didn't care enough about it, but I would have made lots of money and done well. So when I left, originally I was planning to leave and go join another investment firm of some sort. And that didn't work out for a variety of reasons. And so then I was leaving to like pursue whatever this thing was, it wasn't really a thing. There wasn't really anything to it. And I think they were just confused. No one knew that I was making money off of it. There was no clear business plan. I mean, there wasn't anything to it. It was just weird. It was just like a weird thing that I was going off and doing. So, excuse me. I think there was just like a general confusion and basically a like, I would guess what they thought was like, oh, he burned out.
Yeah.
He needs a break. It's like, you go get your MBA typically. If you like work in private equity, you get burned out, you go do 2-year MBA and then you come back and you're fine. You're refreshed. You partied for 2 years. But that's not what it was. In my mind, that's not what it was. I still have like my core group of like 4 or 5 friends from the firm that are like my boys. Like I was in the trenches with them. They were younger and they've been super supportive. And to be honest, the partner, like it's an amazing group of people. Like the partner group was super supportive. They all invested when I raised my little venture fund. Like they've been incredibly, incredibly supportive. But I do think they thought it was like very, very weird. But I was fortunate. It was a great, great group of people at the end of the day, like separate and apart from all the work and whether it was a fit for me or not, they were a great group of people.